as... I forgot there's a countdown. As we load into Berlingrad LE for our first map, where of course in the bottom right hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom right hand corner, we have our red Terran player coming out from the land of China. He of course is going to be representing Team Invictus Gaming. Actually no team in that, but regardless, IG, he is Puffy.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have his opponent, the blue Protoss player himself, representing a clan. It is StarToSky.
Maybe his clan tag means I love you if you don't mind drop me.
I need confirmation on this. I need confirmation.
I know I love is the first two words. I don't know about the other two.
Maybe. I'm just messaging our translator here to see if I get a response.
Old mate Aries.
Oh god. He wouldn't be mad at it, to be fair. Yeah, not wrong. But we are getting into our series, and already to kick things off, Coffee does have his racks in his main base. That was something that I was a little bit concerned about, but no, it is here at home.
Yeah, he's just trying to suss his opponent out a little bit, as he actually skips his Reaper and his Safety Marine.
Yeah.
Straight into a Reactor.
What a madman, going Reactor first here. The Probe is doing his best to try and delay the CC, and he does for a second or two, but it does finally get thrown down. And yeah, because this Coffee is going to be giving up some scouting information, but at least he goes for an SCV scout.
Yeah, he will be able to get some full eyes on top of the entire base right now of StarToSky. And he confirms that, yep, not going for the Reaper was the right choice, as his opponent's just opening up nice and standard for the time being.
Yes. All the pylons have been accounted for here across the map, so Coffee is safe and sound. And now with this, he can go into a faster factory. You know, he was able to save his gas a little bit, be a little bit more efficient here with his unit production. And yeah, things are looking okay for him. You know, just these like minor details here in the early game, nothing too great to expound upon.
For now, this Coffee just walks into his Star's base with a bajillion Marines without stim.
Yeah, he's listening, mate. The Marines, they're going. They're on the way. Oh god, looking to try and catch this Adept here at the ramp. We'll see if that does happen. We'll see if he does face check with the Adept or go in with the Shade. That's exactly what he does.
Just like that, he's able to bypass the security guards. Well, the 4 security guards, at least.
Yeah, exactly. This is, you know, he knows what he's doing. You know, StarToSky, he knows how to handle this PvT. The Marines actually rotate around towards the north, which means he'd have... Oh, never mind. I thought it was going to shade into the natural, but alas, there was an opportunity, and he didn't take it.
Yeah, instead, Coffee is going to be the player with a little bit of initiative here. Gonna see whatever damage he can get done with these 6 Marines. Shouldn't be too much, but behind all of this, he is... There we go! Widow Mines are on the way, along with a single medevac for the time being.
Of course they are. The Marines are across the map. They are vanilla Marines, but yo, with the stutter stepping, he's able to focus fire the first Adept. He's trying to go for the Stalker as well. Bear in mind that Hellions are coming to roast up this middle line. Oh!
And they're lined up!
No!
Just like so. Coffee, he's a mad genius, is what he always is. He knew that the probes were gonna have to be pulled, and as they're pulled, they're lined up. All of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, StarToSky lost 12 probes and even more where that came from.
Yeah, I'll be honest, so looking at the build order, I thought he was going to wait, make 4 Hellions, and go for a Hellion drop. I thought that was the purpose of the medevac. But no, instead he just ran across the map, recognizing that there would not be a wall because of the building positioning, and 14 drones went down, probes even. And he's not done.
Not at all. The Observer is not in position to catch this. You know, thankfully for StarToSky, I don't believe Coffee has an Aubrey.
Oh, he does not. Meanwhile, we do have one Widowmine waddling into the natural base. At the same time, Drop is going straight into the main, and there is nothing here in position. The Stalkers are not too far away, but Blink is not done, and they weren't here in time.
Yeah, quick enough reaction, however, for StarToSky. You know, thankfully, only losing 2 probes to that, but I say that, as that waddling probe. I did not expect this one probe to be able to get much done, but Coffee, he just knows how to force his opponent to be in a position that's favorable to him.
Exactly. What's crazy is he even kept 2 of his Widowmines alive in the main base, only lost a single Widowmine in that entire exchange. I was afraid, but looking at the units lost tab, 19 probes in total have fallen.
And bear in mind, the majority of those probes went down not to the mine drop, but the Hellions and the Marines.
True.
It's been extremely efficient so far for Coffee.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate here that that the Marines were missed by the Spotter Adept. If you remember, the Marines went towards the north, they rotated around, and the Adept was towards the south, so he just completely missed the move out entirely. Meanwhile, Widowmine tries to wall in, but a little bit too late. Meanwhile, the drop goes in, and this time, the Stalkers once again were out of position. They borrow.
But don't get too much done. The Observer is here as well, so yeah, at least one of these mines is going to go down. All of them are going to go down. And that's finally something that StarToSky isn't going to have to worry about, but it's also kind of the least of his troubles, because Coffee is finishing up the last of his barracks this year. You know, Stim is about halfway done. He is just pumping out bio units and upgrades at the moment to hit an extremely powerful follow-up timing.
Exactly.
More powerful than usually.
Yeah, there is no third CC is something to point out. Instead, he threw down 2 more racks behind this, so 5 in total. He wants to hit the timing with those upgrades. Would he even pull the boys? I mean, there is no splash damage. We are relying on just mass gateway units here for our Protoss player. He's taking a third base. He is fully saturating it, has already caught up in workers, but is he going to be ready for that timing?
You know what? He doesn't need to, but he may as well pull the boys. Okay, actually, he is doing the classic Terran thing of expanding as he pushes out. So, yeah, probably doesn't tend to pull any of his SCVs. A couple of probes. I was gonna say it looked like they were a little bit misrallied, but I entirely missed the auto turrets being thrown down.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of more lost mining time here.
Exactly. Unfortunately, it means that the Raven won't be a part of this fight. There won't be like an anti-armor missile or anything like that. But here we go. A couple of Widowmines, 2 tanks behind this as well. Can the charge? Let's clean this up.
It's trying to force a bit of splash damage, but Coffee has moved back in time. He even scans and takes out the Oracle, because why the hell not? He doesn't need mules. GG is called, and Coffee will take game number 1 in typical Coffee fashion.
Yeah, exactly. Beautiful timing there with +1 stim, combat shields. It wasn't even all in. You know, as you were pointing out, he did have a base behind that, but he did have to deal damage there with that push. And we saw the juiciest Widowmine shots, not necessarily on the probes, but on those zealots.
Oh yeah. And again, he didn't really need Widowmine shots on his probes. I think that was more just psychological damage to his opponent, because again, those Hellions cleaned house for Coffee. You don't typically see 12 probes go down, let alone to Hellions and Marines. I'm going to try that now from now on.
Yeah. I think we should reiterate that the reason why that dealt so much damage is because the move out was completely missed by the Adept. You know, the goal of the Adept there was to keep an eye on the army, was to keep an eye on what exactly the Terran player was doing, and he was asleep on the job. He missed it.
Bear in mind, it was a very risky opening there for Coffee. I'm not sure how he would have adjusted if his SCV did go across the map and he saw all of a sudden, wait a minute, there's a pylon missing here. You're not expanding. Especially on a map like Berlingrad. But that was then, and this is now. We're going to be continuing our series on Hardwire LE. We're in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We, of course, have a red Terran player coming out from the land of China. He, of course, is going to be representing his team, Invictus Gaming, IG. He is Coffee.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hardwire LE, I have confirmation representing the clan tag, I love girl groups.
I told you that's what it is. I told you the first 2 is I love.
Possibly K-pop girl groups. It is StarToSky. Uh-oh.
Getting proxy.
Uh-oh.
but also proxying.
This is what I wanted out of the Chinese scene, mate. Mate, our first series was so odd. It was so passive. You know, it was just no rush, 9 minutes, let's go. But here in our PVT, we're getting what we all wanted.
Proxy racks against a proxy gate. Who hits first?
Oh, exactly. The probe is going to be going into the main base. Is going to confirm the lack of racks here. So now our Protoss player has full information about what is going on. To be fair, it could be pulling a Beyond and it could be a pseudo proxy. So that is always something he has to bear in mind. Meanwhile, Coffee only just now going in with his SCV.
Yeah, and he does confirm the lack of expansion here into the low ground, and will be going up to confirm once again. Wait a minute, you're missing a pylon here, buddy.
Exactly. The second pylon is missing. It is somewhere out on the map. We already have a full wall up here. Factory is thrown down, and it isn't the most committed proxy. It is only a single racks. Oh my god, Coffee even throws down an NG bay.
Heck yeah. It's all being made from StarToSky. Not a stalker over here, so this Reaper should be able to get a little bit of damage done, but my main concern for a Terran player is how his opponent reciprocates, because Coffee doesn't have a lot of defenses back home.
Yeah, exactly. Once this Reaper's been dealt with, there's nothing stopping these Stalkers from going across the map. And right now, as you said, there are only SCVs, there's only repairs. The first factory is done. I imagine we're probably going to be seeing, oh, go straight for an add-on. Oh, bold move.
Oh, see if it's going to pay off for him.
Ooh.
Coffee, no fear, doesn't want to cancel that CC at all. Instead of coming to that reactor, he's instead going for a tech lab, I imagine, for Cyclones.
I imagine so as well, but because it's being built, it cannot be repaired. A couple more SCVs are on the way, and it looks like the add-on will finish, so now it can be repaired here by Coffee. It looks like the Cyclone should be able to get underway and finish up.
I'm definitely surprised at how well Coffee was able to make sure that he was keeping the rest of StarToSky's army back, only having to deal with a single Stalker. Forces a recall here. You know, single Stalker can't really contest with two Reapers, and now Coffee is going to be scouring along the edges of his base. He already found the proxy.
Yeah, and I'm honestly a little bit shocked. I'm a little bit shocked that we didn't see further commitment into a second Stalker or anything like that for our Protoss player to try and maybe even force a cancel at the natural or really break in through. He is now coming across map with everything he has, and to be fair, there is a pretty large force, but with the Cyclone, the micro potential is there for Coffee.
And not just the Cyclone, but also the Reapers of KD8 charge available to them at any point. This is zone things out. Widowmine coming down, which I guess is a good zoning tool.
Go Zella, go. Never mind. Oh god. Okay. In the end, because of the Widowmine and because there is no blink, there is no way to avoid the shots. Looks like StarToSky is gonna turn around and go back home.
So the proxies definitely didn't pan out too much for either player, but at the end of the day, who made it out better?
Oh my god.
I feel like Coffee did, because he's finishing up the overall command now, but as I say that, StarToSky switches things up a little. Goes into a Dark Shrine.
Unfortunately, because of the building placement, the Reaper cliffs are not going to be covered. Double Reaper is going to sneak in, and one may die, but the other will make it through and get a full scout of the main base.
Dips in, not quite behind the mineral line, but now he sees Dark Shrine is on the way. He knows to save a scan if need be, and other than that, there really shouldn't be too much troubling him.
Exactly. Like, we can see how much StarToSky has invested in tech here. He went for a Stargate opener, into a Twilight Council, into a Dark Shrine. So much money invested into something that may not even pay for itself. Meanwhile, the Oracle gets in across the map, but there's a Cyclone, there's a Loco, we have Widowmines, 2 SCVs go down, and only 2.
Very ballsy of StarToSky to go for this, knowing that his opponent does have a Cyclone and a Widowmine, but in the end, he keeps the Oracle alive and gets a couple of SCV kills, so net positive overall.
Definitely, and I'm really worried because I feel like Coffee is going to be looking to go for another 2-base timing here, and I don't know how or even if our Protoss player can hold against it. We'll see. Again, he has to try and make all of this pay for itself. The Oracle has to try and buy some time, pick off a couple of key units wherever he can. DTs also have to come into play as well. Like, there's a lot of money invested here, and we don't have a single DT. I mean, to be fair, like, it shouldn't do any damage. There is a missile turret, but again, that's just money down the drain.
I guess defensive DTs could work for him. Obviously, Coffee is Probably going to be saving a scan if need be, although at the same time, Archons aren't... they're not as ideal as something like Colossus for a defensive position, but if they're all you got, then they're not bad against Terran Bio specifically.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. There's definitely a way to make use of those DTs, especially because we have a mass gateway explosion here. We are going to be seeing charge, which makes sense because our natural base was so delayed, because our probe count isn't where we want it to be. Avoiding gases and just focusing on nothing but mineral income makes sense to just make a mass zealot army. Likewise, Coffee also hasn't been working or focusing too much on his economy either.
Yeah, this might be a game where he pulls boys.
You really want it, don't you?
We saw it work for Björn yesterday. In TvP.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong about that, mate. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Oh god, but we'll see, because Stim is done, +1 is on the way, as well as combat shields. This army is being constantly tagged though, and that's like a great adaptation that that our Protoss player has here. Meanwhile, I just realized Warp Gate isn't even there's no Warp Gate.
How?
It's still on the way. It's being chronoed. I thought there was something that looked weird.
Yeah. I was like, oh, we're back in 2017 before they made it so that gateways automatically switch to warp gates.
Yeah, like I've never seen this many gateways unpowered before, like without warp gate before.
They might as well be unpowered, honestly.
Yeah, like imagine if Coffee had hit a timing maybe like 30 seconds ago before warp gate, like our Protoss player literally could have done nothing. Like this would have been his army, and that's it. Like there's no way to reinforce.
But because he's not warping in, he's got more minerals to work with. So he throws down even more gateways.
Yeah, 4 more gates are being thrown down. Hold on, give me a second here. We have 12 gates in total. 4th base is on the way here for, again, just mass charge lots, just mass mineral income. And
he's about to have 1,200 minerals for warp-ins.
Yeah, he got away with the 8-minute warp gate timing. What the hell?
Beautifully done here. But yeah, it's definitely something that probably wouldn't have happened in any other game if Coffee opened up a little bit differently. I think typically a Terran push would want to hit by now, but again, because he did proxy across the map, everything was delayed, and he could get away with delaying his timing. But at the same time, so could StarToSky.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think Coffee has responded very well. He scanned, confirmed that it was going to be a charge all-in, confirmed the mass amount of gateways, and he's like, if I push out, you're just going to kill me. We've spoken about this.
I can't find open ground.
Exactly. We've spoken about Swarm Toss before and how their advantage is fighting on open ground. So what does he do? He bunkers up at home. You know, he fortifies his natural base, gets a 3rd base, working on more upgrades. He knows that pushing out is just going to kill it.
Yeah, he can't really push out right now, so his best bet is to try to force his opponent to push into him. And that involves a lot of drops and the rest of the army never moving out from a safe defensible position.
Yeah, exactly. For those at home wondering, I mean, this is kind of like a mass economic style. It is Swarm Toss. Oh my god, the winner shot, they're gonna go up again! Ooh.
Oh, just in time.
Jesus.
But no, then the other mineral line.
Yes, true here. Oh my god, there were wind mines all over the place here at the 4th base and the main base as well. Again, the main army is staying at home, but these drops are doing a surprising amount of damage.
Yeah, StarToSky's definitely feeling a little bit of pressure right now. He's feeling like he has to equalize damage a little bit, or at least play a little bit more greedy.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Coffee comes in. Focus fires one of the Stalkers down, but of course, the main army is here in the 3rd base, has to respect it. And, oh my god, with my shots, they just keep going up.
Well, we got cannons now, so hopefully that should resolve the issue here for StarToSky, but I'm not entirely convinced. There's a reason why he doesn't like mine drops.
Yeah, exactly. And now that the drops have been dealt with, here we go. It looks like StarToSky has had enough. He's fed up with it. He wants to push out across the map. Ooh, runs into a couple of Widow Mines, though.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. Coffee cannot push out, but StarToSky can't push into him, so it's really up to one of these players to try to force the other to get to an uncomfortable position.
Yeah, StarToSky really wants...
No, I was just saying, so far StarToSky hasn't been able to force Coffee to move out, but Coffee has been able to force StarToSky to push in.
Yeah, exactly. Like, our Protoss player, he wanted to push in. He wanted to try and find an angle, but Coffee's defensive position is just too great. We have tanks, we have Widowmines beautifully spread out all over the place, covering the third base and soon to be the fourth as well. So very nicely done so far by Coffee, and he just has to build up, max out, and then push out. When it comes to our Protoss composition, it's not that ideal. There's not a lot of finesse here, but soon there will be. Storm is on the way.
And I feel a lot of potential, especially if he's forcing his Terran opponent into a very enclosed space like that. There's really not a lot of room to kite or split to. But at the same time, you know, Coffee has, I believe, just finished up enhanced shockwaves on his Ghost, so it's really a case of high noon, you know, who shoots first.
Yeah, and you know what? Storm wasn't done. One of the High Templar stars go down. We have our Ghosts, we have our EMPs.
Wow, and it just about blankets the entire back of the army. Widowmines have borrowed just in time, and it will connect with the majority of these Zealots. I think the reinforcements are good enough right now for StarToSky, but that was definitely a very efficient trade for Coffee.
Oh, it was. Unfortunately, he did end up losing all of his ghosts. I don't know if it was the right time to push out. It was before Storm, but he didn't know that. Oh, and Coffee is forced back.
Yeah, I was looking at the supplies, and Coffee's supply looked pretty good throughout the entire time, but I didn't realize that he was working off of 8 medevacts right now. So that's definitely something to account for if we're looking purely at the numbers.
Yeah, not just 8 medevacs, but all the tanks were at home. Meanwhile, another Widowmine job comes in. 6 more probes go down, forcing our Protoss player to turn back around. And because of these consistent Widowmine drops, I'll be honest, our Protoss player hasn't really been able to probe up too much.
Yo, and this is Coffee hitting without drilling claws.
Yeah,
that's possible. He needs the entire Ghost army and the rest of the Gateway army as well. Archon should be targeted down, but you know, thankfully for StarToSky, he's got plenty of gateways, and even though the probes have been killed throughout this entire time, he has enough to sustain his army. Not enough to tech up, though.
Exactly, and as soon as these Zealots go down, Coffee is going to turn around and he's going to dive on these Immortals. It looks like, oh, barely, he cannot. He doesn't have enough momentum, doesn't have enough bio, but the Widowmine shots, they got a second shot off here. 7 more probes fell, and Coffee took a worker lead.
Which is surprising. I didn't think I'd say this after what we saw in the rest of the game. I just realized there are no observers out right now for StarToSky, are they?
Yeah, the first couple of observers are on the way, and they will definitely help out here at some point once they do rock up. Quickly checking here, the first observer is now coming out from that main base. Oh, Coffee behind all of this, finally able to take his 4th. It is now up and running, and ghosts are coming out.
And this is where things get really scary for our Protoss player. You know, when the Terran army is able to round itself off like this, I feel like the only thing really missing for Coffee is range liberators, whereas StarToSky, he's struggling to switch into Disruptors right now.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed it out because you're completely right. Right now, Coffee would love to switch into Libs, and yeah, we go. They are on the way to Libs being produced at a time. No Fusion Core yet, so no range available for them, but at least Coffee is aware about what he needs.
And so he's getting it. I like that in a player, you know?
he knows how to play StarCraft a little bit. Oh my god.
Yeah. That's actually a lot of health.
It really is.
I didn't realize Widowmines damage Disruptors that much.
Jesus Christ. Unfortunately, there weren't 2 Widowmines there, otherwise it would have been able to kill that Disruptor. Thankfully, though, that was a nice scout. You know, Coffee, he does confirm that Disruptor production has commenced. They are now coming across the map. We do see StarToSky coming for the second wave.
Yeah, and he's starting to hit, but Coffee has been able to not quite max out, but get a bit of a bigger army than StarToSky here. Okay, I thought I was seeing things when I saw just one nuke light. Oh, Purification Nova does land. Coffee splits right at the very end, so definitely could have been worse for him, but a lot of momentum has been taken out of his army. That was a juicy hit, though, and all of a sudden, Coffee cannot resume this push.
Not like this, puppy, not like this. At the same time, we do have a couple of Liberators being set up to harass the economy here of our Protoss player. It looks like StarToSky is going to be forced to come back home, but I don't think he should be sticking around with this army.
Well, I guess he's just trying to distract StarToSky a little bit as his nuke.
God, would you have a nuke here at the third base? It looks like StarToSky does recognize that he will pull back, but not before the Liberators get 15 probe kills. Oh my god.
Very, Very good amount of damage here, making the absolute most out of this dead air. Coffee's starting to get flanked, though.
Oh my god, he is disruptors coming from all sides. The balls are coming in, Yaku.
Yeah, the balls are coming in, but unfortunately, too many of them have gone unbuffered for the time being. One more Purification Nova, and that's about it for StarToSky. Starting to lose a lot of probes here. This is his last hurrah.
Oh my god, it really is. Liberators come in clutch here. The disruptors are just being thrown away right now. So Coffee does trade pretty efficiently. And what's important is that mate Coffee has been macroing back at home. He still has all these defensive tanks. There is no real way for the Protoss player to push in. And those libs, they haven't stopped. Oh my god.
Finally, they've been dealt with, but not before getting a whole ton of kills. I'm scared to look at the units lost tab. 72 probes throughout this entire game has gone down for StarToSky, and he is just struggling. Yeah, he had a little bit of a bank earlier on, but now he's already spent it.
Yeah, exactly. And what's impressive here, as we do see StarToSky trying to force his way in. Oh, Novas are going off here, but not quite connecting with the army that he needs. Oh my god, hot pickup.
Picked up. Yeah, it almost looked like the Purification Nova landed, but no, the army was picked up right at the very end there. Are nukes enough to kill cannons? They are.
A couple of cannons are being cleaned up. Oh my god, so much harassment going on. Again, the economy of StarToSky is in shambles. The disruptors are being focused down one after the other.
And just like that, I see no way of StarToSky to hold the rest of this push. GG is called. Coffee takes that series to absolute 0. That was what I wanted to see from this region.
GG, well played. We started things off with a proxy, Yaku.
With two proxies.
Yeah, they proxied each other, mate. They proxied each other. That was absolutely insane. What I'm mostly impressed by, I'll be honest, is that StarToSky didn't look bad in this game. You know, he was holding his own for a long time, despite being a more unknown player. So for him to take it to game 2 in such a fashion against Coffee, I'm impressed.
Yeah, definitely a very quirky style that he brought in here, delaying Warp Gate for so long, but I kind of recognized that he could get away with it, and like you said, he was making sure that Coffee was uncomfortable for the majority of that game, you know, warping in zealot after zealot after zealot, being about as aggressive as he could be, but he was taking a lot of probe damage.
Yeah.
He had a choice to make of either continue to build gateway units or tech up, and he chose he chose the former, and it ended up delaying his fall, his death in a way. I feel like if he chose the latter, it would be a quicker game, but the same result, honestly.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I really appreciate StarToSky's, like, the way that he was able to tech up and his overall composition and kind of like layouts of the game. But he was relying a lot on those cannons to defend back at home. Like, he clearly didn't necessarily have the multitasking to keep up with the multi-prong harassment from Coffee. And cannons can do well, but, you know, they don't have the highest DPS. Maybe there weren't enough cannons. Maybe you do still need to rely a little bit more on warp-ins back at home, and because of that, the economy was just decimated.
Yeah, it's one of those things where cannons have a deceptively short range.
Yeah.
At least when it comes to their, you know, their firing range. Detection range is a lot longer. And so, somehow, Coffee was just able to find those little dead spots where he could siege up his liberators. He could find those little moments where he knew if he dropped 3 mines at a time, he could focus the fire on only one of those Widow mines, and at least one other mine could borrow and get the shot off. And Widow mines are very cheap compared to the amount of damage they could really get.
Oh yeah. Definitely. Same with those liberators. Those liberators, they more than paid for themselves, even without lib range. It was crazy to see them.
I just realized that, yeah.
To see them.
It could have been an even scarier army here for Coffee.
Definitely. You could also argue that maybe there were some certain tech choices that were questionable here for our Protoss player. Not necessarily talking about the DTs. The DTs were kind of like a make or break scenario for him. But if you remember, Storm was researched. We never saw the Storm because the High Templar were sniped immediately, and that was never really made use of. And even the Disruptors, they did kind of carry. You know, an eventual transition into SkyToss may have been a little bit necessary, or even just to help deal with those Liberators. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing: it would have been necessary, but unfeasible at that point.
True.
Just because it almost feels like an oxymoron in a sense. It's like, okay, I need SkyToss to deal with the harass. I can't get into SkyToss because I'm being harassed.
Yeah, it was a damned if you do, damned if you don't moments there for our Protoss player. So GG, well played to Coffee. He moves on to the, I almost said quarterfinals, but yeah, I guess kind of quarterfinals.
Upper bracket quarterfinals.
Where he already has an opponent ready and waiting.